I don't know what even to say to that, except thank you, my friend. Good to see you. But we're going to have a little more on this as we bring in Danielle Moodie Mills, host of WokeAF Daily and co-host of the podcast Democracy-ish, and Rick Tyler, co-founder of Foundry Strategies and an MSNBC political analyst. Okay, guys, so the worst thing about Canada editing Trump out of the Home Alone 2 film, in my assessment, is that you knew that the president or Don Jr. would not be able to resist complaining about it. And we're going to hear the tweets about this, right? And that we were going to have to listen to people calling it censorship. I mean, we should have expected it, but if they just left him in the film, we wouldn't have to endure another tweet tirade. So, Rick, am I right when we looked at presidential responses or first family responses relative to Don Jr., to anything with complete absurdity being a 10 and 1 being important, where does this one rank?
It's absurd. I mean, it's all designed to get Trump attention. In fact, most people wouldn't have recalled that Donald Trump was ever in this movie of 7 seconds. It was worse when they edited him out of The Passion of the Christ. But anyway, that was a different issue.
Oh, man.
So, look, we're just, I don't know. We took the bait, so we're talking about it, and everybody gets to see that he was actually in the movie. In his much younger days, he looked actually more cheerful then, didn't he?
Yeah, a bit so. You're right. He looked pretty good there. What about, Danielle, your assessment, scale of 1 to 10? 10 is utterly absurd and pointless, the fact that we're even having to deal with this on any level.
Alex, my rating is a 20 in the level of absurdity. I mean, who cares, honestly, about Donald Trump being in Home Alone? I mean, frankly, like what we should be having a conversation about and what they should care about, or I don't know, the thousands of children that they're still holding in detention centers who have no home, right? Who are staying, you know, under lock and key in this Trump administration. So I don't care whether or not he gets cut from a film. Who even cares? That's what Donald Trump is. That's what he's spending his energy focusing on this holiday season.
Exactly. The fact that we're talking about it is because the president of the United States did address this on Twitter. I mean, Don Jr. notwithstanding. I mean, who really cares about that? But when it comes to the president, this is how he spends his time. He actually had to sit there for a moment and go, okay, and then tweet about it. I mean, doesn't he have anything better to do?
Evidently, he does not. You know, like working on a trade deal, like lowering our deficit, like figuring out our immigration policy, worrying about climate change. I could think of a myriad of things that Donald Trump could be spending his time doing. But you know what? Eating fast food and tweeting seems to be what he does best.
And something he did as well, the president, Rick, spent a heck of a lot of time on Twitter during the holidays, and that would include Christmas Day, attacking Speaker Nancy Pelosi. You know, he fired off more than a dozen tweets there. Still at it today, in fact. So what is his strategy? Is he playing offense or is he playing defense?
I don't know. It's really remarkable to me. I mean, he's the chief executive of the United States, with just a huge undertaking, and he has time to tweet 100 times a day. He's been to his golf courses 187 times, and you know, his supporters brag about him giving away his salary. He would have to work 496 years to pay back the money that it cost him, American taxpayers, to fund his rounds of golf. He's on track to beat Barack Obama's golf outings, which were 88 for his first 4 years, more than beat them his entire 8 years in less than 4 years. So between the golf and the Twitter and the nonsense and the drama, I just don't understand how he can possibly be managing the country. I mean, it's just a wasted opportunity.
In terms of something that's going on, Danielle, with regard to the Speaker Pelosi, how much longer can she delay the delivery of the articles of impeachment? At what point does this become a liability potentially for Democrats?
I honestly don't think that it becomes a liability for Democrats at all. I think that, frankly, you know, it's becoming a liability for Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell getting on television and deciding to do the rounds and saying that instead of holding a fair trial, which the Constitution calls for, that instead he's going to be in lock and step with this White House. That's problematic. And I think that the numbers, the polling that we're seeing with 55% of Americans wanting the president to be impeached and to be removed from office, I think that those numbers matter. So right now, I think that Nancy Pelosi is playing the exact right game that she should be playing.
Should she even potentially extend this by never sending over these 2 articles of impeachment? I know there are those who say, well, then he wouldn't be impeached. But yet in the minds of the American public, everyone's pretty clear that he has been impeached in the House. It might take an awful lot not to turn that mindset around?
I don't think that she should hold on to them forever. I do think that they should be delivered to the Senate because the Senate has a responsibility to put on a fair and transparent trial for Donald Trump.
Are they going to?
I honestly, I don't think so. I think that relying on Mitch McConnell to do anything on behalf of the American people, I might as well hold my breath, right, and wait to grow, you know, a horn like a unicorn. But the reality is that is the responsibility that he has. And remember, he's up for re-election, right? And his numbers are not doing so well in Kentucky and haven't been. So I think that this is putting him in a really precarious situation. And Mitch McConnell may want to think about the future and not just trying to rewrite the judiciary map for the right.
Can I, last question to you, Rick. If she were not to send the articles of impeachment to the Senate, then the president would not be able to claim what he wants. Most of all was that he's been totally exonerated and acquitted. I mean, the stain of impeachment would stay with him in a much more profound way. I mean, is there any logic to this strategy?
Yes, I think there's no downside for the Democrats to hold them. Remember, when Bill Clinton was impeached, the trial didn't get underway until I think it was January 6th anyway, because the time frame was roughly the same. The Senate keeps running out of this talking point of, you know, they're in charge of the Senate impeachment. Well, the last time I checked, the managers were the prosecutors in the Senate impeachment. So, I mean, the House has a fundamental, if not the key role in the impeachment trial. What are the senators' jobs? To sit there and be quiet. I think she can push this out as long as she can, and her argument is that I want a fair trial, I want witnesses. And what is he going to say? Hurry up and get those over here? He himself said he didn't want them over there, and the president has been impeached. And with time, they can only add to, you know, who knows, maybe court cases will be decided, maybe more evidence will come out, which already has. So why be in a rush?
Okay, Rick Tyler.
And it's driving the president crazy. It's driving Trump crazy.
Well, that's true. That means we'll expect more tweets. Good to see you both. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Alex.
Political tug of war, the new investigation that's putting CIA Director Gina Haspel in a tough spot.